Hello, people of the world. This presentation is going to be more Europe and the United Kingdom, where yesterday was the United States. But the United States will get a shout out, so don't worry, American people. This rather boring looking chart to start with are the European PMIs. You know, these PMIs, Purchasing Managers Index, things that are meant to be forward looking about what's going to happen in the future, because purchasing managers have to know how much to buy in for the future, so they're kind of paid to know what the future is going to be, as much as anybody is anyway. And these are for Europe, and along the top there, or at the top, is Ireland, and it's the only one that's sticky out righty. Now, sticky out right means positive, above 50, expanding, doing well, and June is the dark one and July is the light one, in blue, obviously. So not only is it sticking out positive, it's sticking out more positive in July than it was in June in Ireland. Hurrah for the little people. They're doing as well as better than can be expected under the circumstances. But everybody else, at least in this chart, are all sticking out left and doing worse. Poland's doing less worse, Czech Republic's doing about the same, Netherlands about the same, Austria's doing a lot worse, the UK's doing a lot worse, Italy's doing slightly worse, and now when we're getting to Italy, with the UK included here in July, these are really bad looking numbers. They're 45 and below. So Italy's doing worse, France is doing worse, Germany is doing worse. Now Spain and Greece are doing slightly better than they were in June, but they were doing so jolly badly in June it wasn't hard to beat it. All in all, Europe is in a shocking state and is projected to get worse. That's our overall theme. I've put this in. It's slightly technical, but it's illustrative of at least something. Spanish and Italian government bond holders. Now we'll just look at Spain, although you can see Italy is a similar sort of shape. That's why they've been put together. In the numbers here, or the lines, the dark blue line is non-resident holders of those Spanish or Italian government bonds. So Germans, let's say, owning Spanish government bonds, for instance, would be that blue line. The light blue line is domestic holders, Spanish people holding Spanish bonds. You can see that late in 2011, the non-resident holders completely sold out. There was 300 billion worth being held by them, and now it's next to nothing, and all that issue has been bought by the resident holders in Spain. Basically, this was the Sarkozy idea with the central bank, that when the banks in Spain and Italy have more cash money because they've done the Eltro with the central bank, they will need to do something with it, and they would probably buy their own debt. The thing that's happening here is that the Eurozone is being carved up again. Everybody's debt used to be owned by everybody else, but now, little by little, as time goes on, the home debt is starting to be only owned by the home banks and people, like Japan. And really, it's going to make it easier for the Eurozone to break up in the future when it's been more what they're calling balkanized. It's being individualized again, where it was 5 years ago, much more homogeneous. Is that the right word? Spread out among everybody. But everything, the risk is now going home. Right. Didn't mean to spend so long on that. This is our US dollar index again. This is the mention for the United States, and this is the 1 year chart for the US dollar index, starting at 74, and now it's been up towards 84. And with the Mario Draghi at the central bank and the ECB yesterday letting people down, if I might go on to it more later, the US dollar is only going to increase over the next month while Europe is on holiday. There will be crises in Europe while Europe is on holiday, and there'll be nobody home to do much about it. so the dollar will strengthen. And I'm thinking this above 82 is too strong for the US dollar. I know I've said this before, and it's only one aspect in lots of things that are in play. But when it comes down to it, America's big and powerful, and if it doesn't want its dollar strong, it will make sure that it's not strong. And I can't see that they'll want it too strong. Right. Over in Europe, this is from the European Central Bank's data banks, and this is the unemployment rate, and it's just had a shoot up. Have a look at the shape. It's classic. Down in 2008, before the recession, unemployment in the Eurozone was a mere, this is at its lowest, 7.5. Well, it's just under 7.5. That was when it was at its best. Unemployment in Europe is often, always very high compared to other places. Shot up to 10, and it looked like the whole thing was over and it was going to start at least going down again, but it didn't. And you can see what it's done now. It's right up to 11.4. And obviously this is extremely bad, but the European Central Bank is saying it's not our job to do anything about that. Our job is the European Central Banking System, and that is not unemployment. That is for politicians to work out. And here is the European problem via unemployment in a chart. Germany in black has gone down from 10% to near 5%, where Italy has gone up to over 10%, Portugal's at 15%, and Spain and Greece are between 20 and 25%. The difference between the core, or Northern Europe, and the periphery, Southern Europe, is getting larger and larger. I'll say one more thing about Draghi yesterday. He never did say he would do everything it takes to save the euro. Well, at least he did say that, but he said alongside that, in the same sentence, within our mandate. In other words, following the rules that were set out for the establishing of the ECB, we will do what we can. And that is a completely different thing to we will do absolutely anything. They will do within their mandate. They've done their bit of babysitting, and now they're saying, I'll tell you the most important thing I think that came out of Draghi yesterday. He said that if, let's say, Spain or Italy want bailing out, or want us, the ECB, to do helping in the babysitting and buying their bonds again, first they must go to Brussels, to Europe, and register with Brussels and Europe that they want a bailout. And that means that kicks in the discussions that they'd have, that kicks in that they must then have austerity programs, and they are going to be overseen by, call it Brussels, that are going to send representatives in to say, we need this done, that done, before you can go to the ESM, EFSF. So that's what Draghi said. You've got to sign on first, and then you can go to the EFSF, ESM when it's set up, and then we might help. But first, the politicians have got to sort this out. You've got to come under a regime of oversight first, before we'll do anything. Very important. Right. UK. I've got this Doug Short chart out because there's confusion about the 0.7 minus GDP that the UK got for their third in a row negative number. They deal in quarter to quarter and don't annualize it. A lot of the world, especially America, annualize it. In other words, the 0.7 negative that the UK had would be called minus 2.8 in America. They would annualize it, multiply it by 4 because it was a quarter. Yeah, so that's what the UK looks like in American speak as per charts. And it looks obviously a lot worse because it is bad. While in the UK, mortgage approvals dropped 10% from a year ago to the worst June since 2008. That's the shape of mortgage approvals in the United Kingdom, going back to 2001. And you can see they're on a completely different plateau now, a completely different level. Slump continuing to take its toll. UK household disposable income per head down to its lowest level since 2003. In the UK, per head disposable income down to its lowest level since 2003. They're struggling, that's to say the least, and I'm very surprised that the S&P have confirmed UK's AAA rating. Last one, and you can see these are from tweets. I find Twitter very useful. This is from Ed Conway, who I used to use a lot when he worked for the Telegraph. Now he works for Sky, and I think he's a good boy. I like him so much I've just bought on Twitter his book. For people in the UK, if you want to buy his book on Twingle, Fingle, what's it, that Amazon Reedy thing? It's only 20p his book. They've reduced it 98%. So at 20p you can't go wrong. Kindle, that's the fella. You can have Kindle on your computer. You don't have to have one of these handheld things. You can just get it so you can read things on your computer, in case you didn't know. Anyway, so far at least UK house prices have fallen only half as much as Spain's and less than in the US or the Netherlands. This is to say the UK's hanging on because the population is increasing, there is a shortage of housing, and they've just got it in so much ingrained in their heads that housing and buying a house is the best investment you can make. It's coming down slowly. But really there's no real economic reason for house prices outside central London to hold up at all. And unless something amazing happens, they will grind down, because the income is just not coming into the households for them to sign on the dotted line that they will be able to pay their mortgages. And note Netherlands in there as well has come down, but has got an awful long way to fall if things go really badly in Europe. The United States has reached another plateau. It's waiting to see what happens in the world, to see whether the house prices are going to go and level off there or maybe go up. But if this whole world does turn down anything badly, I don't think the US house prices will hold that plateau either, and will go down and find another one. Spain, unfortunately, we've got to think that's going to be the cause of Eurozone panic of exceptional proportions when Spain's go down, as Ireland's did, to -50, -60%, and they're not halfway there yet. Otherwise, have a good day. Bye.